I'm moving on to our top story tonight. The United States is in mourning after it lost a cult hero, a champion for the rights of women and minorities, and one of the most liberal members of the Supreme Court, Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She died on Friday night at the age of 87 and has been celebrated by both Republicans and Democrats for her intelligence and the ability to work across ideological lines to find common ground. She became a cultural icon known as the notorious RBG, or I always mistakenly have called her RGB, which I think would make an excellent Supreme Court justice. I mean, those beautiful, vibrant colors make a good judge, just saying. But people had made documentaries, blogs, and books about her. You could even buy merchandise. I'm sorry, Justices Gorsuch and Alito, you're just not cool enough for Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She battled cancer twice, kept a rigorous workout so she would survive through President Trump's term. It seems like, and she made comments for that in 2016, that she probably did not want the president to replace her, and her dying wish was that the next president, whoever it would be, to fill her seat. But as a result, there is now a vacancy on the United States Supreme Court, and only hours after Ginsburg's death, Senate Majority Leader Republican Mitch McConnell announced that they would fill the vacancy during the final days of President Trump's term. So for the many of you who are watching the show and are not familiar with the U.S. Supreme Court and how it works, let me give you a brief rundown. There are 9 justices, and each gets nominated by the president and confirmed by the Senate. They have a lifetime appointment, and the framers of the Constitution did this so they would not be bent by partisan politics. Now, they are not technically part of a political party, but justices swing either to the conservative or the liberal side. So the court was until last Friday 5 conservatives to 4 liberals, with one of the conservatives drifting over to the liberal side from time to time to protect things like Obamacare and rights for gays to marry. Now, constitutionally, the Senate has until the first days of January to move on this, and because the Senate is controlled by Republicans, it is expected that a conservative jurist will be nominated and confirmed, bringing the tilt of the court to 6-3, which means that abortion could be banned, rights for minorities can be curtailed, and the role of religion in society can be strengthened. This affects us in Mexico because there are a number of cases concerning the rights of immigrants and their status. With an estimated 11 million undocumented workers living in the United States, this could have a dramatic effect on their lives and our economy in Mexico because many rely on money sent from family members living in the United States. So if you're saying, okay, well, she died during a Trump presidency and it's his right, yes, that makes sense. But there's some hypocrisy in this. In 2016, after the death of another Supreme Court justice, with just 10 months to go until the election, President Obama nominated Merrick Garland to take a seat in the highest court, and his nomination did not even get a vote. The leader of the Senate said this.
That no Supreme Court vacancy created during a presidential election year should be filled because the American people are in the process of speaking. The elections are going on all over the country. The next president will be making this choice. The people will decide who should be the appointing authority. So, no, he will not be considered by the Senate.
Okay, first, yes, we know this. He does look like the famous cartoon character, Droopy Dog. We get that. We know. But now he's saying something completely different today.
President Trump's nominee for this vacancy will receive a vote on the floor of the Senate.
So there were hopes that a few Republican senators would defect and say, hey, you know, we said this in 2016, and now we have to say the same thing. So let the people vote, and for the president, whoever it is in January, to decide. So 2 had defected, but they need 4 to defect, and it looks like that will not happen, and Trump will most likely have his 3rd pick confirmed before Election Day, November 3rd. Republicans and conservatives alike are very excited about this. They will be able to remake the judiciary for years to come and use this branch of government to protect their agenda. And this is not just happening in the US, but also somewhat in Mexico as well, right? Now, in Mexico, there are 11 members of the judiciary, but they serve for 15 years, not for life. And the current makeup of the court is 6 who are confirmed by the opposition party, the PAN, in their 12 years of rule, 2 from the last president, Enrique Peña Nieto, and 3 by the current president in his short, almost 2 years in office. With another retirement coming in 2021, the president has the opportunity to reshape the court with his allies who support his agenda. So for more comments on this and the U.S. Supreme Court vacancy, we are now joined by Dr. Imer Flores, professor at the Universidad Nacional Autónoma de Mexico, UNAM. You are a Puma, Imer? Are you a Puma all the way?
Yes, Ben. Nice seeing you.
Yeah, you too. Thank you. So I want to first ask you, let's get to this right away. It seems that Mexico and the United States have very similar things happening with them right now, where the president is really focusing on making sure that there are people in the judiciary that have the same viewpoints as they do. Tell us more about this and the similarities between the two presidents.
Let me just point something that you already said on the fact that 4 years ago, Mitch McConnell said that it was not good that in an election year, a president coming out nominated someone for the seat because of the lifetime appointment. So now I think it's true that they are not following the same president. I think they have to follow the same president, at least not make a decision until after election day. So far, I have heard many friends in the U.S. saying that the vote, the decision on the Supreme Court nomination should be after the election day. So then the people will say if they want to let the Republicans to reshape the judiciary or not. And the option for the Democratic Party will be, if they win and there's still the nomination, then the option will be to do a sort of court packing, a reform for the court to get an extra number of justices, so then they can make the numbers again.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, and this is something McConnell has wanted for a long time. The Republicans have wanted because they have a lot of social issues that have been ruled against them for many years, and now they have this opportunity. So it seems like that they just want to win, right? Like, it doesn't matter president or what they said, they have the opportunity to make a Supreme Court pick. Now, tell me about this. This is something that is also sort of happening here in Mexico with AMLO. Can you talk more about this?
Yes, and let me just point that I think it's all politics in that sense, in a very strong sense. They are both trying to secure their legacy by appointing justices which are very close to their own agendas. And let me just point that today we had a draft on a project on the consulta for persecuting the former presidents, which is already suggested that it will be unconstitutional. So I already have the feeling that the president, AMLO, Andrés Manuel, will use it in his advantage, saying, I wanted to persecute them, but then the court didn't allow me. And the court had nominated 8 justices from the other parties, and I only have 3. So, and I think it's playing the politics and the politics game. And we have elections here in Mexico as well next year. So I think in that sense, the two systems are having the same problem, that the election years are currently in the US this year, and North is coming next year. And these battles over who takes control of the judiciary or who gets more people of their own ideology into the judiciary is very relevant to them. So right. I think that's we have to keep an eye on this discussion, certainly.
Absolutely. Now another thing, Trump has been saying this week that he wants to make sure that he has enough judges in the judiciary before the end of the election, because the election might get to the U.S. Supreme Court, and he wants to make sure that anything gets voted in his favor. Now, we know here in Mexico also that AMLO has complete control of the legislative and the executive branch, that Morena Party is dominating, and even in many states. How is AMLO working with the judiciary, and is the judiciary able to stop his agenda? Because, as you mentioned, 8 appointees are from the other political parties.
So my take is that in taking the example of the referendum, on persecuting the former presidents, the justices have, at least in the project, in the draft, they are stopping him. So that, in some sense, is good news. But then let me insist that I take this as politics as usual. And I take that he's making this politics game. And I think Trump is doing exactly the same. And in that sense, I also follow Trump's discussion on who he will nominate. Oh, I should nominate a man or I should nominate a woman. Oh, definitely a woman. And so I'm giving the people whatever the people want. Well, an extra in also in political sense, I need to get someone who gives me some edge on the election. So I have to get a nomination for a woman and probably from some of the minorities. What about a female, Afro-American female nominated to the Supreme Court, or I don't know, or from another any other minority, which
Right.
will get them some votes. So I think it's going to be very into party lines, and I see the point on him thinking that it might go into a close battle, into a close election day, and then the judicial will be kind of complicated.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting, and I know that there's talk about a Cuban American woman. There is another Latina on the Supreme Court, Sonia Sotomayor, but there's a talk that a Cuban American from Florida might be nominated as well. So this is going to be really interesting. Imer Flores, thank you so much for joining us. Imer Flores, a professor of law at the UNAM. Thank you very much. So interestingly enough, Trump had put out his potential list of nominees earlier last month. And on that very short list was no other than U.S. Ambassador to Mexico, Christopher Landau. Do you remember that guy with the amazing ambassador jacket? Hashtag ambassador jacket, hashtag will this ever be a thing? The ambassador is a Harvard-educated legal scholar who argued 9 cases in front of the Supreme Court, which makes him highly qualified for this seat, although he had never been a judge, and recently only judges have been elevated to the Supreme Court. But over the weekend, Trump announced his intention to nominate a woman to the seat, as we just mentioned in the interview, essentially ending the ambassador's chances of being appointed. But wouldn't it have been interesting to have the ambassador to Mexico nominated for the Supreme Court?